Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are a subscriber here already, welcome back. Thank you. I'm glad to have you here. I love you all. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the family. We're excited to welcome you in with open arms. I'm just going to give you an air hug, but don't actually touch me because people are still contagious. But that being said, today's topic is one of my favorites. I'm so excited about it. They're one of my favorite animals. Beaches are reopening. People are rushing to the shores for their beach extravaganzas. They're rushing to lay out and get tan because they've been looking like Casper the Friendly Ghost for the last 3 months in the house. They've been looking like sheets of paper. We've been looking ashy and ashen, so we're going out to get that nice summer glow. And with that comes new friends that we may make in the ocean. My favorite friend is one that's fun, they're cute, they're misunderstood, they're graceful, they're elegant, a lot like myself, which is why I feel so connected to them.
Yes!
And that friend is a shark. So today I compiled a list of questions that a lot of people seem to have about sharks, a lot of questions that I've heard people ask, and we're going to just be going through some information today that some people might not know. So the first thing I want to discuss is what makes a shark, because when you go to the pet store, they have those sharks called bala sharks, and they have like rainbow sharks and red tail sharks. I'm just going to start by saying those are not sharks. They are not in the same family as sharks. They are nowhere related to sharks other than the fact that they are both fish. Sharks have a few characteristics that separate them from the rest of fish. Number one being that their skeleton is made completely out of cartilage. A human skeleton is made out of bones, primarily calcium based, but when you hear cartilage you should think of your ears, your nose. Those are the two primary sources of cartilage that humans have on their body, and that's what their skeleton is made out of, which is the reason why you'll never find shark fossils, because cartilage breaks down. Fish do have gill slits. It's how they breathe. They're usually on the side of their head. Fish usually have one, sometimes two, but sharks usually have between 5 and 7. And the last thing that sets sharks aside from other fish is the fact that they have scales on their body called placoid scales. So to break it down, placoid scales are more commonly referred to as something called dermal denticles. And what dermal denticles refers to is really skin teeth, is what they're called. The scales on the body resemble small teeth when you look at them under a microscope, which is why they were given the name skin teeth. It is believed by scientists, this is very interesting, believed by scientists that the scales on sharks' bodies migrated forward towards their mouth and formed what we know now as their oral teeth that are in their mouth. So there are a lot of species of sharks that have a lot of evolutionary adaptations which help them survive in an environment where they have competition from other predators. One of these adaptations comes from the whale shark. So whale sharks are one of 3 species of sharks that actually filter feed and actually don't use the teeth that they have. So whale sharks have about 300 teeth, but what they do is that they open their mouth and they suck in water like a vacuum cleaner. We love to see it. And what they do is they just pull the water in, and then they expel the water back out through their gills. And when they do that, the gills trap any solid material that's not water, and that's how they eat. They like to eat things like tiny fish eggs and tiny plankton, but they have to eat a lot of it, seeing as how they're over 50 feet long. So they have to eat millions and millions and millions of plankton and fish eggs. Other sharks, like great whites, they roll their eyes back into their head, and when they roll their eyes back into their head, it prevents them from anything affecting their eyes or anything hitting them in the eye and blinding them. I wish I could do that when I eat, so that hot sauce and other things don't sometimes fly in the eye and cause extreme pain and irritation, but it's a trade-off for being human. I would not recommend it. 0 out of 10, do not be human. My personal favorite is a shark that has a very interesting way of eating. It's called a goblin shark. If you're not familiar, goblin sharks are a species of deep sea shark that live 4,000 feet below the ocean surface. And what they have is that they have a protrusible jaw. So what that means is that their jaw can actually unhinge itself from where it is, and when it unhinges, they can actually extend it from their mouth up to 3 or 4 inches, grab their food, suck it back in, and then lock their jaw back into place. Um, it's very strange. There's a video I actually saw of them trying to bite somebody and doing that with their jaw. It's kind of unsettling, but it's also kind of cool. But I just like them because I think that they're cool. They're so interesting. They're so different than any other species. It makes you wonder what kind of things led to them having this adaptation. Like, what kind of predators were they competing with that led to them having a jaw that can unlock itself and grab food and then put itself back into place? Like, the jaw is out here pop locking it and grabbing in the middle, on the bottom of the ocean, and who would have known these things? I wouldn't have known. Well, actually, I would have, but I wouldn't have known unless I researched it and found out. The question that a lot of people probably are waiting for me to answer is, do sharks like to eat people? And I'm just going to say before I start answering this question, do you think people look delicious? Because when I look at humans, I don't think we would taste good. I think we would taste like disappointment. We would taste like overfishing, and we would taste like climate change. But that's just no tea, no shade. That's just how I feel. Sharks also feel the same way. So a common misconception about sharks is that they like to eat people. They go to shallows and they look for people to eat, and they search for people, and they do this and that, and they target people. But that sounds like a lot of energy, and sharks, believe it or not, are very lazy. The reason why most people do get bitten by sharks is because they are lying on a surfboard, or they are swimming in a way that suggests to the shark that they are weak and that they are an easy meal. Sharks like to prey on things like fish that are already sick and dying, because it means that they don't have to do a lot of work for a meal, which sounds a lot like me. Why should I have to struggle and slave when I can just have a simple meal? They've got it. Sharks have figured it out. They've figured out life. But with that being said, usually when they find humans, they'll take a bite and they'll realize that it's not what they thought it was, and then they'll swim away. But the problem with that is that for a 20-foot shark, one bite is an entire limb. And in most cases, the person who gets bitten bleeds out before they even make it back to shore, and that's what ultimately kills them. It's not the fact that the shark ripped them to shreds, it's that the shark took a bite out of them and they bled out in the ocean. Which, needless to say, is tragic, and it's very sad, but the shark didn't eat them. It just took a bite and realized that humans are disgusting, which, if they got a good look at us, they probably would have put it together anyway. But they just get a bad rap, and movies like Jaws just led to so much destruction of shark ecosystems, and sharks, it destroyed them. It really did. Sharks honestly should be more afraid of people than we are of them, seeing as how humans kill 100 million sharks every year. In case you didn't know, I'm going to reiterate that. Humans kill 100 million sharks every single year. And for an animal that takes years to even reach sexual maturity and is with eggs and with young for years, that's pretty dangerous, seeing as how they're not those animals. They're not fish that lay like 40,000 eggs. They're slow to reproduce and they're slow to grow, which means that all these sharks that we're killing, we're taking a toll on their numbers, on their population. We're destroying them. So I just think that, with that being said, people need to really think about the impact that we have on them. Yes, they may be scary. Yes, people may fear them. Yes, they may be this and that. But at the same time, what kind of person can go out in the ocean, pull a shark out of the water, cut off their fins, and then throw them back in the water where they die a slow, painful death? How can you call yourself a person when you do that to an animal that did nothing to you? I don't understand it, and I never will. Like, I get that shark fin soup is a delicacy, and I'll never shade somebody or another country for a delicacy that they like to eat, but come on, sis, something has to give. Something has to give. Like, I understand that it may be delicious and that it's a sign of opulence and royalty, but we're destroying entire populations for our own greed. It's not okay. And, if sharks collapse Like I said, sharks eat all the fish that are sick and dying. If sharks disappear, all those fish that were sick and injured are going to spread their contagion around to coral reefs. They're going to spread it to other fish, and the fish are going to drive themselves to extinction. And you know, the world is like a pyramid. When you lose that bottom layer, the rest of the pyramid concaves. So just remember that when you go out and you see a shark, or when you go to an aquarium and you see a shark, don't think, will this shark eat me? Think, what can I do to keep this shark from being eaten by us? As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more content just like this. And to all of you, have a great day, stay safe out there, and hope to see you next week when we talk about bears. Ooh, and I'm not saying that in honor of Pride Month, because that's a whole other issue. But we're going to talk about bears. Grizzly bears, brown bears, black bears, polar bears, my favorite. And we're just going to get into it. So